rare public acknowledgement by a serving Pakistani army chief. General Asim Munir has mentioned the involvement of the Pak army in the Kargil war. This is perhaps the first such official admission of guilt by the Pakistani establishment. Left red-faced 25 years ago by the Indian Army's triumph in Kargil during Operation Vijay, Pakistan has never conceded to its defeat. It has always distanced itself and painted a picture of terrorists being involved instead. Pakistan denied its role to the point that it abandoned its own soldiers on Indian soil. This statement by the Pakistani army chief can be considered a shift in Pakistan's stance as it deviates from its traditional narrative. However, while Pakistan has admitted to its involvement, it still remains mum on its role in instigating the Kargil war. It seems that Pakistan is still living in its web of concocted lies. Before we jump into a discussion with our panelists who will be joining us shortly, let's in fact listen in to this statement that came in.
कुव्वतों और दुश्मनों का डट कर मुकाबला किया। यकीनन पाकिस्तानी कौम एक जर्री और बहादुर कौम है जो आज़ादी की अहमियत को निभाना और इसकी कीमत चुकाना अहसन तरीके से जानती है। 1948, 1965, 1971 या कारगिल की पाक बहारत जंगें हों या सियाचिन का महाज, हज़ारों शहदा वतन की सलामती और हुर्मत की खातिर कुर्बान हुए। दहशतगर्दी के खिलाफ तवील और सब्र आज़मा गैर रवायती जंग में कुर्बानियों का सिलसिला आज भी जारी है।
Pradeep Kapoor, former diplomat, is joining us live. We also have Major General Dhruv Katoch, Director India Foundation, live with us. Major General Rajan Kochar, defence expert, also joins us live. Sumit Peers, political commentator, is also live with us on the broadcast. Sumit, what do you make of this big admission by a Pakistani serving general, in fact, the army chief?
Uday, thank you very much for having me on your show. You know, we always knew, the world always knew, but we had not got a formal confession, I would say, that it was exactly the Pakistani army which was in the uniform or in the attire of jihadis trying to pretend as militants, trying to, stab us in the back. Now, he admits two things. First, his army was directly involved and thousands of people have lost their lives. So that means the casualty toll, what we have been always claiming on Kargil, was very high on Pakistan army. Now, this is what the Asim Munir has to say. And let me remind the world, it is we, the infidels, the kafirs, who gave these people the Islamic burial. They left their bodies. There were two captains, they were a major, they did not claim their bodies. They left it to the mercy of infidels to give them an Islamic burial. This is the reality of Pakistan. When they say taqwa iman, jihad fizibillah as their motive, that we believe in Allah and will do jihad in the name of Allah, that is the motive of Pakistan army. But I always tell them, you are in the business of jihad. You do paid jihad for the highest bidder, and that is what is here. If you are here doing a jihad, then did you leave your people on the mercy of infidels? Kafiron ke bharose chhod ke gaye the Islamic burial dene ke liye. This exposes Pakistan's whole narrative. Today his problem is he has lost more men to terror than all the wars. He has been losing 250 men per day. Remember the latest attack by BLA, 240 to 250 men per day. In Balochistan only he has lost more than 700 men. Now he is trying to whitewash all his sins, all his failures by saying, oh, we have been giving sacrifices, this war, that was Kargil, and thousands of people have lost their lives trying to defend Pakistan and trying to fight terrorism. But basically, you are in business of jihad. You pay, when whoever pays you the money, you fight their jihad. Americans pay you the money, you will fight American jihad. Russians can pay you the money, you will fight Russian jihad. Now today you are doing this jihad. Operation Azme Istekam, that is for the stability, it is on the behest of China, because China is paying the money. You are killing more Muslims, you are killing more Pakistanis. That is what you are doing. You are a bundle of lies. You are a person who is a sold out. You are sold out. You are sold to the devil. That is what is Asim Munir. And today, Uday, there's a lot of American pressure. Americans are telling Munir to deliver. We want the airport, we want the Gwadar, we want all the access to your mines. That is what America wants, and you have to deliver, because for the last 75 years you have been taking from us. Now it is the time to deliver. When he sees KPK is getting out of his control, Balochistan is getting out of his control, literally, which is Sindhu Desh is not in his control, Saraiki belt is not in his control. So what is he left with is a landlocked Punjab. So this Punjabi Sunni army, when it loses face, is trying to flare up national sentiments by humne hazaron log ki qurbaniyan di. And after 25 years, Mr. Munir, do you remember this? Maybe 25 years back you were a major or a lieutenant in the army. So one of your buddies was killed and one of your buddies was buried by the Indian army. Now after 25 years, you remember that, oh, we lost men and we have given sacrifice. This talks about Pakistani hypocrisy. Now the world must know, if Pakistan can talk like this, Today, even after 25 years, one more story will come. On the 26th year, one more story will come. How and when and where to trust Pakistan, and what to trust Pakistan and what not to trust Pakistan is the biggest revelation. You cannot trust anybody. Though Musharraf has hinted at it, but he was not clear. Nawaz Sharif has hinted at it, they were not clear. But today, after Asim Munir's admission, I am very happy. We lost a lot of our men. They gave the supreme sacrifice. But he admitted, Hazaro log mar gaye. We have beaten the shit out of them. We have beaten them black and blue in a war, which the world thought we could not win. That proves the mettle of Indian army, and that proves what is a battle-hardened army, and that proves what is a jihadi army. A jihadi militia. Pakistani army is a jihadi paid militia. Anybody can hire them to do a jihad, and there will be one mullah Maulana who will give it an Islamic connotation why it's a religious war and how we are doing the jihad and how do we fit in the line taqwa, iman, jihad, visibillah. That is the sum total of Pakistan army. Uday, and this is the candid admission. Let the Americans, let the world, let the United Nations, and let all those people know who were accusing us of, oh, there are human rights violations in Kashmir. Oh, things are getting bad. India is doing this. India is doing this. How do we do this? When today, even in Jammu, we have these people who are come in militant clothes and they are full-time army regulars. They are SSG commandos. They are bad commandos. We'll take them to their logical conclusion, but let the world know double-sided face of Pakistan. I think Pakistan stands exposed. After that, do not talk about what we are doing in Kashmir. Do not talk about human rights violations. Do not talk about atrocities. Because if you have to deal with these chameleons, we have to deal with our vein because we are taking the hit and we are facing the brunt of it. Uday.
Absolutely. In fact, Major General Rajan Kochar also is with us live. Major General Rajan Kochar, was this a foot in the mouth? Was this a slip of tongue? Or is this an admission of what was always an open secret?
It is not a slip of tongue because General Munir's tenure ends November next year. And there is quite inner turmoil within the Pakistan army today, and especially after 3 retired officers have been arrested, and General Faiz Ahmad has also been arrested, and he's under trial. The Pakistan army has suffered a lot due to Imran Khan. In 2018 onwards, after Imran Khan has come into play, the reputation of the Pakistan army, if you divide these 2 periods, you study the Pakistan Army's influence over the establishment and how the things used to happen prior to Imran Khan and after that, how the public sentiments got swayed with the anti-US stance. Today, what is happening is General Munir is facing a number of challenges, and I'm actually coming to why he said this. He is facing a number of challenges. Afghanistan is one challenge, Taliban is another challenge, Balochistan is also another very big challenge for him, and the 4th one is how to mend the fences with the United States. So within these 4 challenges, he has an internal challenge also, and that is there is a strata of officers in the Pakistan army who are pro-right towards Imran Khan. So he has to measure this to the Pakistan army, and there is an inner sentiment in the Pakistan army that the valor or whatever bravado of these Northern Light Infantry, which actually went into Kargil, was not recognized by the nation. So he is having these kind of challenges, which brings him out on the Defense Day of Pakistan on the 6th of September to come out with 1948, to come out with 65, to come out with 71. And let me tell you, all these 3 wars were lost by Pakistan. So he is trying to bring in the Kargil scenario, and if you have actually read the book by Musharraf, In the Line of Fire, in which Musharraf, in I think 2006 this book came out, and he had mentioned that our 4 to 6 battalions engaged more than two divisions of the Indian Army. So he's trying to bring out that kind of valor of the Pakistan Army, which has lost on every occasion. It has fought with India, including 1999. And it's a known fact, as Sumit Peer also brought out, though it is documented on the Pakistani website as 453 soldiers lost, but Nawaz Sharif has made a statement that Pakistan lost more than 3,000 soldiers. So these 3,000 soldiers which the Pakistan army has lost have not been recognized, and being an army man myself, I can tell you that in the rank and file of the army, it actually hurts a lot. Because if you don't recognize the valor, the contribution or killed in action of your soldiers, then it starts affecting the morale of the army, and not only of the army, the families. The respect which a nation must give to a soldier, that was not forthcoming, and that is the reason I think on such a historic day for the Pakistan Army, because Pakistan Defence Day is celebrated by the armed forces of Pakistan in a very big manner. So he brought out all these things, trying to now make amends to the policy of the Pakistan establishment, the policy of the Pakistan government that did not actually bring this fact out in the open earlier.
All right, let me in fact quickly get in Major General Dhruv Katoch as well. Major General Dhruv Katoch, what was the reason behind this statement by General Munir? What can be read between the lines into this admission by him, the first of its kind, which is coming from Pakistan, on what took place in 1999?
Thank you, Uday. Uday, while it may be the first admission from a serving chief, actually these admissions have been coming on and off from Pakistan in various forums. But I think the most telling one was in the book by Nasim Zehra, From Kargil to the Coup. And that is a book which I think everybody should read, because it gives out actually what happened from the Pakistani point of view and the Pakistani side. And she very, very clearly states all the sequence of events. Now, something which the world should know is when India's Prime Minister Atal Bihari Vajpayee went on that very famous bus ride to Lahore. And in Lahore, he gives that very great speech, that, okay, this is not an era of war and we want peace. At that very instance, the people from the Northern Light Infantry of the Pakistan Army were already inside Indian territory. And I think that is a shame, because it shows one thing, that whether it is the Pakistani political establishment or their defense establishment, they cannot be trusted. If the head of a neighboring state can go on a bus ride to build peace and you betray that trust, I don't think there could be a bigger betrayal than that. That is one. Number two, I think what has happened now, since Kargil is 25 years ago, and since then, what has happened? The credibility of the Pakistan military has taken a hit, and it has taken a very bad hit. Every single day, there are reports of the Pakistan Army being engaged in security force operations against various groups which are fighting for their independence or for some other cause. The Baluchis are certainly fighting for their independence. The Taliban is looking for certain other issues. And everybody in Pakistan seems to have an issue, and the army is deeply embroiled. As a person who has taken part in these operations over many, many years, I can assure you, Pakistan Army has neither the capacity or the capability to continue with these operations over a long period of time. There is this question of rest and refit and turnaround of troops and all that. It becomes very, very difficult. And Pakistan is now in that bind to have to fight in the border areas as far as Khyber Pakhtunkhwa is concerned. The whole of Baluchistan is in flames. And the number of casualties which they are getting hit is they are trying to suppress it to a very great deal. Now, in that environment, the army chief is trying to tell the country, listen, we as a Pakistan army have always been there for you, right from 48, and then it continues up to the Kargil war. What he's really trying to say is, without the army, Pakistan is nothing. He's trying to get back that shred of credibility. I don't think it's going to work, but that is certainly the attempt, and that is the way I view it, is to tell this country that the army is still relevant for Pakistan, and without the army, this country will disintegrate. And I think that is why all these things are being raked up. Otherwise, I don't see any reason for it to happen. It is not their problem with India. I don't think it has anything to do with China or Pakistan or with the China or the United States or any other country. I think it has everything to do with their internal situation, which is bogging them down, and hence this statement. Uday.
Pradeep Kapoor, let me get you in here on your take on what has prompted this statement. It's clearly not a stray remark, is what our previous panelists have said. Are you in agreement with them, Ambassador Kapoor? Is this a well thought out statement? What has prompted it, and what are its implications on the history of Pakistan?
Uday, thank you very much for leading this discussion, and I must say kudos to my co-panelists for their brilliant expose on the various issues, and I agree with them wholeheartedly on all that they have said. What I would like to add is that as I sit back and reflect on the current state of affairs in Pakistan, it is a total mess. It is a failed state which is not willing to acknowledge that it is a failed state, and the world knows it is a failed state, but the US and China are propping up a failed state to keep it on its last legs and to keep it lingering. Now, why has it come to this sad pass? Because it is based on negativity. The entire foundation of Pakistan is based on negativity. Now, if you have a country which is based on negativity to this extent, the amount of aid which has gone into Pakistan in tens of billions of dollars through its independence, some have even suggested it's probably $1 trillion which have come into Pakistan as aid. What do you have to show for it? There's been a lot of corruption. The army has its own industries and hotels and all the other tourist spots, and the corruption there in the army, within the politics. So there is very little money really going into development. Now, for a senior army general to make this statement, serving Chief of Army Staff, General Asim Munir, to make this statement. Now, he's also mentioned 1948. In 1948, I am old enough to remember that I was not born at that time, but the entire premise was that it was the tribals and some local people who were fighting that war for Kashmir and not the Pakistani army. And they refused to acknowledge that also for a very long time, that they had sent in their army regulars in tribal uniforms with guns to fight for Kashmir. And now the same story is being repeated again on the Kargil issue. There have been admissions and a lot of research and analysis and acceptance of this, but for a serving army general, it may be one of those, like the last straws on a camel's back. We have talked about Imran Khan and his party and how it is creating a lot of shock waves inside the system, even in the elections and even in the army. I'm sure there are a lot of sympathizers to Imran Khan and his party. So there are rumblings which are very deep within, besides all that the co-panelists have said. So they are now clutching at straws, trying to hold themselves together, to hold their country together. Now, for them to make their existence based on the premise that they have to fight against India and launch so many wars against India and lose them continuously and still not come to their senses is what shocks me. Why can't there be some sort of sensible thinking or sensible reflection amongst their people who get so much of support and aid from both the Chinese and the Americans, and they've been getting that for so many decades now, and they have very little to show for it except that the whole country is falling apart. So I am absolutely surprised that they are still not, taking stock of where they are, where they were, and where they are going, and where they should be going, and how can they take any corrective steps for that. Instead of that, they are engaged in a daily war internally and trying to infiltrate terrorists into other countries, infiltrate terrorists into India, create mayhem. So that sort of premise is very, very sad for any country in the world. It is not a country which is looking at its own, weaknesses or strengths or what its future should be. It is just existing on the basis of hatred and negativity. Back to you, Uday.
Absolutely. But, what does this then reflect, as one of our previous panelists said, Sumit, that this is not a straight statement. It's reflective of what's happening in Pakistan. What does this, then say about the way Pakistan is headed with the domestic situation vis-a-vis the army, of course, and the political brass? Sumit.
Things here. First of all, understand Pakistan Army. Shaheen, Asgari, Bahriya, 3 foundations. They are doing more than $36 billion of business. That's more than the 10% of the GDP of Pakistan. They're the most profitable organizations. DHA, the best housing societies and all, again run by army. Baby food, diapers, again made by the army. Now, recently there's a talk of they have acquired some 500,000 acres or more of that land, and the grapevine says that it will be used for opium cultivation. In fact, in Saraiki Belt or in the KPK, some opium cultivation under the able guidance of Nadeem Anjum has already started. So this is what Pakistan is. Pakistan, if you see Pakistan's footprint is everywhere. Any attack in the world, you will see a Pakistani footprint. What did the Musharraf say? Dunia mein kahin bhi kuch hota, uske tar Pakistan se zarur judte hain. 2 days back, there was a Canadian in Canada trying to kill Jews in the Brooklyn Center in New York. And this guy was again Pakistani. Now, if you see anywhere there's a Pakistani angle to terror, Iran smuggling of goods, day before yesterday, Bill Burns, the director of CIA, and Roger Moore, the head of MI6, did a press briefing in London. They clearly mentioned the involvement of Pakistan. They mentioned the involvement of Pakistan there. They mentioned the involvement of Iran there in the Middle East crisis. Now, Pakistan has become a playground wherein everybody is fighting each other. Army is trying to siphon maximum out of itself, and there are cross wars and crossroads between Americans and Chinese. When you add to that, then you have a Baloch problem, you have a KPK problem, you have a Sindhu problem, then you have a TTP problem, you have Afghani Taliban problem, and they have recruited their own governors and they are also doing the tax collection. In Banu cantonment and Bani cantonment, they are sending the water supplies, even the water by helicopter, because they cannot approach that by the road. Now come to the economic health of Pakistan. We all know there's no need to debate on. There are 2 things I want to tell you. 33% of the Pakistanis are confirmed suffering by diabetes. Is the country where diabetes has creeped into anything. More than 20% are believed to have mental ailments. And on the top of that, the birth rate is 3.6, one of the highest in the world after Africa, the country which had a coup. I can't remember the name recently. So in 20 years, Uday, this population is going to double. आदमी आदमी को खाएगा, आदमी आदमी के ऊपर रहेगा. Imagine with this country, this teeny mini country, economically devastated, you will double your population in goddamn 20 years. 3.6% birth rate. So when this all is happening, what these Faujis are doing, it's a country wherein the country is poor, but the Fauj is rich. So every Fauji comes, he makes his pie, he gets his thing. Isn't it wrong to say Asim Munir already has a mansion in Virginia? One of the most expensive real estates in Virginia is bought by Asim Munir. So he has his retirement plans. Bajwa was found with his wife flirting in Paris, right? When somebody came and abused him. Where are the other Pakistani generals? How many of them still live in Pakistan after retirement? Answer is hardly any. Now, General Faiz Hamid's arrest is a very important step, because for the first time Asim Munir has arrested a former chief of ISI. He has put him behind the bars. Now there were even talks of Bajwa might be put in a house arrest soon. There was a lot of grey point talk on that. So Faiz Hamid is behind the bars. Imran Khan is behind the bars. Bajwa might go behind the bars. So who is left? Now you have this puppet regime of Sharifs and these Sharifs and the other guys. So if you look at the Zardari, Zardari is a Shia. He comes from Iran. Zardari can never become the Prime Minister of Pakistan. Bilawal Bhutto can never become the Prime Minister of Pakistan because his father is Shia and they have Irani roots. So these will not allow. So look at this country. Who in the world doesn't have an influence there? Everybody is settling their scores. Ye Shia, ye nahi banega, ye Sunni, ye nahi banega. And what is his claim to fame, General Asim Munir's? Hafiz-e-Quran, Sayyid. Hafiz-e-Quran means who has literally, who can talk about the Quran verses at any given point of time. Sayyid, pure Muslim, descendant from the Prophet itself. And what are others? They are low category, third-rate Muslims. And whenever there's a meeting in GHQ, he impresses people by saying the Quranic verses. Baki sab taali bajate. Military strategy ka tel lene. Recently, he met mullahs in GHQ and he was behind 2 bulletproof walls. Inside GHQ, he is behind 2 bulletproof walls. That is the situation of Pakistan. You don't know who is on which side. There's a division in army, there's a division in ISI, and he's trying to bring up military intelligence at par with ISI, which nobody has done. And ISI is going to resist that. Nadeem Anjum is running to London trying to get his tenure extended. He wants his tenure to be extended, so he is serving, he can become the army chief. His deputy, he is trying to replace the Nadeem Anjum, and he's a more lethal guy. He's the one who organized the kill on Imran Khan when Imran Khan was shot at. The current deputy chief of ISI is the person who organized that. Imagine the situation here. There's a faction responsible, loyal to Pathans. There's a faction responsible, loyal to Imran Khan. There's Nadeem Anjum faction. There is Asim Munir faction. There is Faiz Hamid faction. There is Saudi faction. There is Chinese faction. There is American faction.
Absolutely. But it's quite interesting, General Kocher, while of course they have admitted to their involvement, they still remain tight-lipped on their instigation of the 1999 war.
You see, I'm impressed with Sumit's, the way he has brought out the narrative. It may not be so true as far as Pakistan is concerned, but certainly it is a cause of concern in Pakistan. You see, today Pakistan's army budget has been increased by 15% in this current year. When the entire country is going through an economic slowdown, when basic commodities are not available in that country, and when you give their armed forces additional money and budget, then people are going to question. And that is why what General Katot said, that on this Defense Day, the Pakistan Army Chief is trying to tell the nation that without the Pakistan Army, you people are absolutely nowhere, because it is because of us the Pakistan state is surviving. And that's why they're all into commercial activities are now public. Once upon a time, all their activities were not in the public domain. Today, all the commercial activities of the Pakistan Army are there in the public domain. People are assessing them. And the third important aspect is the power struggle within the Pakistan Army. Who's going to be the next chief? There is also a talk that General Munir may get his term extended. So if that happens, you will find a rift within the Pakistan Army, a division within the Pakistan Army, because there are a set of senior officers in the Pakistan Army whom I'm given to understand who really don't have the same ideology as General Munir. So if that is the case, and when a religious divide actually comes into the armed forces, when ethnic divide.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.